1066, a decisive battle changed the course of English history forever. From a foreign duke to the undisputed King of England, William the Conqueror forged an empire through fire and sword, reshaping a kingdom and laying the foundation of modern Britain. His rule established new laws, a new language, and a new order, transforming a land of fractured kingdoms into a centralized, powerful realm. This is the story of ambition, conquest, and legacy that echoes through the centuries. William the Conqueror, the Norman king who changed England. William, Duke of Normandy, claimed the English throne after the death of Edward the Confessor in 1066, stating that Harold Godwinson had broken an oath to support his succession. With papal backing, he launched the Norman invasion with a banner blessed by the Pope himself, framing his campaign as a holy mission. The Battle of Hastings was brutal and decisive. Harold fell, and William was crowned king on Christmas Day, 1066, in Westminster Abbey. His rule was immediately harsh. The north of England faced the infamous harrying of the North, a ruthless suppression of rebellion that devastated the region but secured his hold on the kingdom. William introduced the Domesday Book, a detailed survey of land holdings and resources that revolutionized English governance, laying the groundwork for taxation and law enforcement. Castles, including the iconic Tower of London, were constructed to project his authority and defend his realm. Despite being illiterate and speaking only Norman French, William's political acumen and military might forged a legacy that redefined English society, law, and monarchy. His reign marked the beginning of a new chapter, blending Norman and Anglo-Saxon traditions to create a unified England. Henry VIII, the king who changed England's faith and future. Henry VIII, born in 1491, became King of England in 1509 at the age of 18. Enthusiastic and determined to assert his power and secure the Tudor dynasty's future. Early in his reign, Henry was celebrated as a charismatic Renaissance prince, a patron of the arts and a skilled athlete. Yet, it was his personal quest for a male heir that would change England forever. Henry's marriage to Catherine of Aragon produced only one surviving child, Mary, no son. Desperate for a male successor, Henry sought an annulment of his marriage to Catherine, arguing that marrying his brother's widow was against God's law. However, Pope Clement VII refused the annulment. Caught between religious politics and Catherine's powerful nephew, Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. Frustrated and resolute, Henry broke away from the Roman Catholic Church and established the Church of England, appointing himself as its supreme head. This monumental act, known as the English Reformation, allowed him to annul his own marriage and marry Anne Boleyn, hoping for a son. The Reformation led to the dissolution of monasteries, transfer of church wealth to the crown, and a gradual shift in English society towards Protestantism. Henry VIII's 6 marriages were marked by political maneuvers, heartbreak, and executions. Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard were both executed on charges of treason and adultery. Jane Seymour, who bore Henry his only male heir, Edward VI, died shortly after childbirth. His later marriages to Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr reflected shifting alliances in Henry's advancing years. Henry's reign redefined the monarchy's role, centralizing power, challenging religious authority, and setting the stage for modern England. Despite his notorious cruelty and unpredictable nature, Henry VIII's legacy endures in the English Church, legal reforms, and national identity. Elizabeth I, the queen who led England's golden age. Elizabeth I ascended the throne in 1558 during a period of religious turmoil and political instability. She inherited a kingdom deeply divided by religious conflict after her father Henry VIII's break with the Catholic Church, and the short reigns of her siblings, Edward VI and Mary I, determined to restore stability. Elizabeth enacted the Elizabethan Religious Settlement, 1559, which established the Church of England as independence from Rome, while seeking a moderate middle path between Catholics and Protestants. This tolerance helped unify the country and reduce internal strife. Her reign is famously marked by the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588, a major naval victory that secured England's status as an emerging global naval power and prevented invasion by Catholic Spain. Elizabeth's skilled diplomacy and leadership inspired national pride and international respect. The Elizabethan era flourished culturally, producing literary giants like William Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe. It was a time of economic growth, overseas explorations such as Sir Francis Drake's circumnavigation, and artistic achievement, earning Elizabeth's reign the title of England's Golden Age. Elizabeth governed with a careful balance of strength and restraint, managing courtiers, parliament, and threats at home and abroad, never marrying or naming an heir. She cultivated an image as the Virgin Queen, embodying the nation's unity and enduring spirit. Elizabeth I's reign transformed England politically, religiously, and culturally, laying the groundwork for the British Empire and shaping the nation's identity for centuries. Stuart dynasty and English Civil War. The struggle for power and religion. The Stuart period began in 1603 when James VI of Scotland became James I of England, uniting the crowns of two kingdoms. This new era was marked by tensions between the monarchy and parliament, primarily over religion and royal authority. James believed firmly in the divine right of kings, asserting absolute royal power. However, Parliament opposed many of his policies, especially regarding taxation and religion, laying the seeds of conflict. His son, Charles I, inherited these tensions and heightened them by dissolving Parliament and ruling without it for 11 years. Religious disputes deepened with Puritans demanding further reforms of the Church of England, while the king remained supportive of a hierarchical Anglican structure. The conflict between royal absolutism and parliamentary rights eventually escalated into the English Civil War, 1642 a 1651. The war pitted royalists loyal to King Charles I against parliamentarians led by Oliver Cromwell. After years of brutal fighting, parliamentarian forces triumphed, leading to the capture trial and execution of Charles I in 1649, the first English monarch to be publicly executed. England briefly became a republic under Cromwell's Commonwealth, abolishing the monarchy and House of Lords. This revolutionary period lasted until 1660, when the monarchy was restored with Charles II, signaling a new balance of power, but marking the decline of absolute monarchy. The Stuart reign was a turning point in British history, establishing Parliament's authority over the Crown and setting the stage for a constitutional monarchy. It was an era of intense religious, political, and social upheavals that reshaped the nation's future governance. The Hanoverian dynasty, transformation, and Empire 1714-1901. The Hanoverian dynasty began in 1714 with George, a German prince who inherited the British throne as the closest Protestant relative after Queen Anne died childless. His accession marked the start of over 180 years of Hanoverian rule, guiding Britain through immense political, industrial, and imperial transformations. George I and his successor George II were largely absentee monarchs from Hanover, delegating more power to Parliament and paving the way for Britain's modern constitutional monarchy. The role of the Prime Minister emerged during this era, with Robert Walpole recognized as the first to hold this position effectively, shifting Britain's governance towards parliamentary democracy. George III's long reign witnessed both triumph and tribulation. The loss of the American colonies, but also the expansion of British influence across Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean. His era was also a time of great cultural and intellectual growth, the flowering of the Enlightenment in Britain. The 19th century saw successive Hanoverian monarchs presiding over the Industrial Revolution, social reforms including the abolition of slavery, and electoral reforms that gradually expanded democratic participation. Victorian Britain, under Queen Victoria, reached the apex of empire, with vast colonial holdings and unmatched naval power, influencing global politics and culture. The Hanoverian period was pivotal in shaping modern British identity, a constitutional monarchy balancing tradition and parliamentary power while building a vast global empire. It laid the foundation for British political stability, industrial leadership, and cultural renaissance that lasted well into the 20th century. Queen Victoria and the Victorian era. A century of empire and progress. Queen Victoria's reign, spanning from 1837 to 1901, stands as a defining epoch in British history, embodying transformation on an unparalleled scale. Her tenure of over 63 years shaped not only the British monarchy, but also the course of the British Empire in global history. Ascending to the throne at age 18, Victoria embraced her role with a strong sense of duty and moral purpose. She moved the monarchy towards a more symbolic, constitutional position, helping restore its dignity and public respectfulness after earlier scandals. With the guidance and partnership of her husband, Prince Albert, she championed arts, education, and scientific progress. Under her rule, the British Empire expanded dramatically. By the end of the Victorian era, Britain controlled roughly a quarter of the Earth's land and population. The era witnessed the suppression of the Indian Rebellion of 1857 and the formal establishment of the British Raj, with Victoria declared Empress of India in 1877, symbolizing imperial unity. The Industrial Revolution flourished during this period, bringing innovations such as the telegraph, antiseptics, and improved transportation that transformed everyday life and global trade. Victorian culture, marked by strict moral codes and a sense of progress, influenced literature, architecture, and social norms. Victoria's reign also included significant social reforms addressing abuses of industrialization, expanding suffrage, and improving public health. Her longevity and stature made her a symbol of national stability amid rapid change and growing calls for democracy. The Victorian era's legacy is vast legally, politically, culturally, and economically, shaping modern Britain, and the monarchy's identity as a unifying, ceremonial institution connected to a global empire at its zenith. The 20th century world wars and the modern monarchy. Transformation. The 20th century presented unparalleled challenges and transformations for the British monarchy, reshaping its rule both domestically and across a rapidly changing empire. This era saw two world wars, the dissolution of the British Empire, and the evolution of the monarchy into a constitutional and symbolic institution deeply embedded in modern British identity. King George VI, who reigned from 1910 to 1936, guided Britain through the First World War, a conflict that devastated Europe and thrust the monarchy into the public spotlight. The royal family adapted to wartime demands, supporting troops and participating in national morale building. Amid anti-German sentiment, George V changed the royal house name from Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to Windsor to emphasize Britain. The interwar years were fraught with constitutional crises, including the abdication of Edward VIII in 1936, who abdicated to marry Wallis Simpson, a twice-divorced American, sparking debates about royal duty and personal choice. His brother, George VI, ascended the throne and became a figure of steadfastness during the Second World War. During World War II, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, symbolized British resilience by remaining in London amidst the Blitz. Their personal courage and public presence helped unify the nation during its darkest hours. Post-war Britain faced the waning of empire, economic struggles, and social change. Queen Elizabeth II, crowned in 1953, would become the longest-reigning monarch, emblematic of continuity amid transition. Under her reign, the monarchy underwent modernization, embracing television to connect with the public, supporting charity efforts, and navigating evolving public expectations. The Commonwealth of Nations emerged from the former empire as a voluntary association of independent countries, with the monarch as a symbolic head of the Commonwealth, reflecting Britain's changing global position. Throughout the 20th century, the British monarchy transformed from a governing institution into a constitutional symbol, balancing tradition with adaptation to maintain relevance in a democratic society, all while navigating the pressures of modern media and global politics. The 21st century monarchy, balancing tradition and modernity. The British monarchy enters the 21st century in a world dramatically transformed by globalization, technology, and shifting societal values. Under King Charles III and his predecessors, the institution has worked hard to balance ancient traditions such as ceremonies and symbolism with the demands of modern democratic expectations and cultural diversity. Several key reforms marked this era. The succession to the Crown Act 2013 ended the antiquated rule of male primogeniture, allowing the monarch's daughters equal rights to the throne. Restrictions on marrying Catholics were lifted, reflecting Britain's increasingly pluralistic society. The royal family has increased transparency through regular financial disclosures, and broader public engagement. However, the monarchy faces complex challenges. Public opinion varies widely by age group and region, with many younger Britons questioning the relevance and cost of a hereditary institution in a meritocratic society. Scandals and personal controversies have tested the family's unity and public goodwill. The monarchy continually works to maintain its popularity by emphasizing service, charity, and social causes, including environmentalism and mental health. The 21st century royal family also leverages digital media and modern communication tools to connect with new generations and worldwide audiences, fostering an image that combines dignity and accessibility. Despite these pressures, the monarchy's institutional resilience remains strong. Its future depends on adaptive leadership that honors tradition while embracing change, sustaining its symbolic role as a uniting figurehead in British public life and a unique cultural icon globally. The British monarchy in the Commonwealth, global symbol and diplomatic bridge. The British monarchy's role in the 21st century extends far beyond the United Kingdom, serving as a unique symbol of historical continuity and diplomatic unity through the Commonwealth of Nations. The monarch serves as the head of the Commonwealth, a voluntary association that now consists of 56 member states across Africa, Asia, the Americas, the Caribbean, Europe, and the Pacific. Historically, as the British Empire the monarchy transitioned from being a political ruler to a constitutional and symbolic figurehead representing shared values among these diverse nations. The Balfour Declaration of 1926 and the Statute of Westminster of 1931 formalized the equality and independence of the dominions while maintaining allegiance to the crown, transforming the empire into a modern commonwealth. Queen Elizabeth II was especially dedicated to this role, undertaking extensive tours throughout the Commonwealth. Her presence helped foster goodwill, support territorial integrity, and promote democratic freedoms during the Cold War and afterward. The royal family's patronage of numerous charitable organizations within the Commonwealth further strengthened these ties. Under King Charles III, this legacy continues with emphasis on service, public engagement, and adapting the monarchy's diplomatic role to modern global realities. Despite Republican movements within some member states, the monarchy remains a respected and unifying symbol for many. The Commonwealth today represents a distinctive legacy of shared history evolving into a partnership of equals, where the British monarchy plays a subtle but significant role in maintaining relationships based on mutual respect and cultural diplomacy in a diverse global community. The enduring legacy and cultural significance of the British monarchy. The British monarchy stands as one of the world's oldest and most enduring institutions, deeply woven into the cultural fabric and history of the United Kingdom. Over centuries, it has evolved from a powerful ruling entity to a symbolic custodian of tradition, unity, and national identity. The monarchy preserves a rich heritage through ceremonies and rituals, the changing of the guard, trooping the color, and grand royal weddings that connect the present with a storied past. These traditions serve as a visible reminder of continuity amid change. Beyond ceremony, the monarch and the royal family act as unifying figures who transcend political divisions, fostering a shared sense of pride and belonging. Their public engagements, charitable work, and cultural sponsorship enrich British society and promote national cohesion. Economically, the monarchy contributes significantly through tourism, generating global interest in heritage sites like Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. Internationally, it symbolizes British identity and soft power, helping to build diplomatic and cultural bridges. Despite modern debates over relevance, the monarchy's role as a symbol of stability and continuity remains central to Britain's national narrative. It embodies an intricate balance of history, culture, and modern constitutional values, a distinctive institution adapting to the times yet rooted in timeless legacy. The British monarchy is a living emblem of Britain's journey through history, reminding its people and the world of a shared past and collective future. The British monarchy, with a rich history spanning over a millennium, has evolved from a powerful ruling institution to a symbol of national identity, unity, and tradition. From the conquest of William the Conqueror through the tumultuous Tudor and Stuart periods, the growth of empire under the hand of the cultural blossoming of the Victorian era to the adaptations required by 2 world wars and modern democratic society, monarchy has continually transformed. Its enduring influence lies not in political power, now largely ceremonial, but in cultural significance, public service, and global diplomacy through the Commonwealth. The monarchy maintains a unique role as a unifying figurehead for the United Kingdom and a symbol of continuity that connects history with the present and future. Despite challenges and changing public attitudes, the British royal family's legacy is embedded in legal traditions, national ceremonies, charitable work, and international relations, embodying a living heritage that continues to shape Britain's identity in the modern world. This story of the British monarchy reflects centuries of resilience, adaptation, and symbolic power, highlighting its integral place within the nation as historical and cultural fabric that spans from ancient thrones to modern politics.